Let's all scream. Let's all scream.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Let's All Scream. My name is Saleh Al Braik, and I'm sat here with two of my best friends.
I'm Shehlaa Ali.
And I'm Hassan Al Marashi.
And this is our first ever podcast session. So, right before we get into it, let's get into the quick introductions. So, Shehlaa, ladies first.
Thanks. I'm a 25-year-old freelance graphic designer. I'm an Iraqi raised in Canada, and I'm married to Hassan. We should add that in. And I am a mom of a 9-month-old baby girl.
Hi everyone, I'm Hassan and I'm a communications professional and an author of a children's book. And my newest title is Father. As Shehlaa mentioned, I'm her husband and we're the parents of a 9-month-old.
I am officially their third wheeler. But other than that proud title, I am a 31-year-old Emirati born and raised right here in Dubai. I am in the digital marketing field, but I also have dabbled into entrepreneurship in the past few years. So I co-own a few businesses that are set up here in Dubai, and they kind of vary between F&B, so food and beverage outlets, and health and fitness, so gyms basically that are here in Dubai. So yeah, pretty proud about that.
And we should also mention that Saleh and I are cousins.
Yeah.
Oh yes, so
To explain the connection.
to explain the connection of this amazing trio, besides the obvious fact that Shehlaa and Hassan are married, is that Hassan and I are cousins. We are less than a year apart in terms of age, and we literally grew up by the hip. So he's been my best friend my entire life, knows everything about me, and chose to stay, surprisingly, despite everything.
Little did I know that.
And yes, and Shehlaa obviously came. You guys are hitting up how many years now?
6 years.
Almost.
6 years.
Yeah.
So poor thing did not know.
No,
Nope,
it was,
I had no clue whatsoever.
Yeah, she didn't know that she was going to marry into the both of us. She just thought
no,
Hassan was
it was a
coming.
bonus that she didn't ask for.
She didn't know she needed until she had me. That's basically what
Okay,
happened.
sure. We can say that.
But I think let's tell everyone about the podcast.
Yes.
And give them an insight on what's behind the name.
Yeah.
So we often get together. I would say pretty much it's gotten that frequent. Where
I
we
would
get
hope
together
that you
daily.
both meet up daily. That's the only thing.
No, I mean the three of us.
I mean, do we meet up daily? No, I'm just joking.
And we kind of, talk about everything that's going on in our lives and vent to each other a lot. And so one day Shehlaa had the great idea of, guys, we should
Thanks.
make this into a podcast. And I'm sure other people feel the same way that we do about certain issues. And hence the name Let's All Scream, because when you're very frustrated and life is kind of getting too much, you just want to scream from the rooftops. So hopefully we will bring you guys along with us on the journey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what was the nice thing about it is because I'm unfamiliar, so I'm, dare I say it, in the very first session, that I am not a podcast listener. It's not to say that I've never listened to podcasts. I have, but I just never knew, I guess, how to consume the information that was given to me. And so I found out actually only after Shehlaa had suggested it that both Shehlaa and Hassan were avid podcast listeners. And so they explained to me about what podcasts were, and I was a bit hesitant in the beginning because I'm a Taurus, so I'm very uncomfortable with the unfamiliar, and it didn't take me long though.
A few days.
Yeah, a few days.
I noticed
think.
the first few days.
to come around to the idea.
You were like hesitant, but then like.
Meanwhile, I quickly, for me, when
Jumped on
I'm
the wagon
excited
right away.
about something, I have to get it done then and there. So I quickly went on Amazon and ordered all
that
the
same
equipment.
night he went and he got everything
Yeah,
done.
all the equipment that we would need.
It's like he impulse buyer 101. But
Oh, he's
then-
the worst. No
Yeah,
offense.
no, I am. It's definitely an issue.
but I got excited, and here we are. I think it's a great step. And just building up on what Hassan said, this is kind of our safe space. We're actually sitting in the same room,
That we
living
always
room
sit
that we
in.
always sit in, and then we kind of like just come here at the end of the day. I think all of us we definitely come from different walks of life, and we go through
Yeah.
different experiences and different types of work. And that when we come here and the baby's fast asleep,
Yeah, you guys are getting definitely the authentic experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the end of a long day. We're sitting in the place where we normally sit, and we've put the baby down to sleep for the night. And
Yeah.
this is when the venting
The
begins.
venting. I even told them before we started recording, I told them, guys, I have so much to talk about, but I'm not going to say anything until we actually press record.
Yeah.
But yeah, so trust me, I'm also very excited.
and hopefully the goal behind this, and not just necessarily the goal, but for me the main driver of why I wanted to do this, and I think we can all agree, is that when Hassan said that, you have all this built up frustration and you just want to go up on the rooftops and just kind of scream it all out, thus the name Let's All Scream. It's not just that, it's the effect you have after it, in terms of the relief that you get after you have a venting session, and
Yeah.
that support system that you have. So we just wanted to take our own support system, share it with you guys, and hopefully even if you're having kind of a rough day or rough start or end of your day, you kind of get, you ended with a smile, or you started with a smile, you realize you're not alone, and that you're not the only weirdo out there.
Yeah. To elaborate more on what Saleh said, I also think support systems are always important. I have a mom group with me on WhatsApp, and just having other moms talk to at any moment of the day is really important. And I went through a big anxiety phase, as you guys know, and I, to be honest, just hearing other moms talk about the same issues that I was talking, or
Yeah.
no, I wasn't even talking about them. I would literally just read the same topics,
And
I
relate
realized,
to it.
and I
Yeah.
realized, hey, I'm not the only person here that has this issue. So it does help to know that there are other people out there that are dealing with the same issues that we
Yeah.
are.
Yeah. And for me, the reason I wanted to start this podcast is I feel there's a gap so a lot of the podcasts that we listen to are usually from content creators that are based in the West or not in our region. Or if they are based in our region, they're usually in Arabic, which is great. But I feel there's a missing demographic for people like us.
Yeah.
There's not that many voices of like-minded Arabs or Middle Easterners who speak English as not a first language, but as their main
Every
language,
day.
or they're very comfortable. Like for me, I think in both English and in Arabic.
Yeah.
So anyway, my point is, I felt that was the reason that I wanted to do a podcast. Is there's so many ideas out there that I feel we want to share with other people, and discussion topics, and this is a great platform for that.
Yeah. I think just to kick it off, we are going to, like I said, we're sitting in the exact same place where we usually come to gain that support and kind of get things off our chest. So I think we should just start off with a round table, if you say, and I don't know if anyone wants to take the first step and get something off their chest.
And talk about what's
been going
making us
Yeah,
scream today. What makes us want to
So
scream
I think
today.
if we start with Shehlaa, what do
The
you want to
lady?
scream about
Sure.
today?
Okay, well, are you ready? No. For me, it's to be honest, with everything going around these days and all the issues that are going around, I'm finding myself with a lot of anxiety. So, as you guys know, I do deal with, I wouldn't say like it's very extreme anxiety, but it is a mild, there at the back of my head type of situation. And today I found myself mainly dealing with like the issues, I'm going to bring it up, the coronavirus. And for me, it's just a matter of, it's not even about the coronavirus itself. It's mainly about how much is being talked about. And
The anxiety
the
surrounding
anxiety,
it.
yeah, the anxiety that's surrounding it, and all the issues of like dealing with, okay, what if I get sick? What if my daughter gets sick? What if you get sick? What if Saleh gets sick? And then what do we do? What are the steps that we would have to take? Like literally today, I was sitting down, and I realized, okay, if today Hassan gets sick, what am I going to do? What are the steps I have to take? What are the steps he wouldn't be able to see his own daughter? And then it just started going downhill from there.
Right.
And then I heard I have a relative who has a fever, and I'm like, oh God, what if he's sick? And yeah, just
Like a domino effect of fears.
literally. And the thing is, it does come up, okay, quite a bit, but it was mainly, it's always there at the back of my head, and then slowly, the moment one thing happens, it starts to bring it back, and then bring it back to bring it to the front of my head, and bring it like literally, okay, this is the first thing that's on my mind today all day. And yeah, I'm trying to ignore it.
I think something that I think everyone has been saying is that I think there's more fear and anxiety around it, and people actually suffering from the anxiety of possibly, catching it, or knowing someone, or even touching someone's hands, or getting in contact with someone, than there are actual cases. It was officially announced literally, half an hour ago, that it's an official pandemic around the world. And I saw an article, and amongst the apparently billions of articles that have been published so far, that out of all the previous pandemics that have come about in the past 50 years, that the coronavirus has surpassed 1.1 billion mentions in media, which is insane, because if you think about the lifespan of it, this has been like 3 months, not even 3 months, by the way. It started up in the end of December, if I'm not mistaken.
But I think if you think about it, obviously we're in the age of social media now, so you have to take that into consideration.
And
when other things were around, even as early as like Ebola or SARS or any of those other diseases that got a lot of media coverage, social media was not as prevalent.
But I think it's the same thing, right? I mean, that's actually it's a double-edged sword. Sure, there's more people talking about it, but then that just means that the anxiety is amplified across the entire
That's
globe.
the thing, exactly. That's what I'm dealing with. Is, for example,
You're constantly barraged with, with news about it.
Even when I want to shut down, and even when I want to ignore it. I go on Facebook, it's there. I go on Instagram,
WhatsApp.
it's there. WhatsApp, it's there.
Yeah.
Literally, I go on my mom group. I'm like, okay, this is something that's going to be like, oh, we're going to discuss about being moms. No, it's about the coronavirus. Moms are like, oh my God, what do we do with our kids? And I don't know. And I'm just like, okay, stop it.
Do I really need to go to that supermarket for a gallon of milk? No, I'll just stay inside.
Exactly. Like I had an appointment the other day, and I'm like, you know what?
Do I really need to go? Yeah.
Is this a life or okay, I don't want to say death, but is it like an important place? I stopped going to the gym. I stopped going to different places. I stopped grocery stores, and I'm just like, okay, until when? Like,
but I won't lie. Going back to the main the main point is about the anxiety of it all. It's not necessarily about the virus itself, but the anxiety. I've noticed myself. So I do, since working in the digital world, the digital marketing world, obviously you can only imagine the amount of information I get from all of these sources that are reporting about it. But it's not necessarily about the news. I realized in the past, I would say 2 weeks specifically, that I was getting emotionally drained. And they were not just about talking about it, but I noticed that I would just feel down.
That's it.
And I'm just like this whole uncertainty and not sure. And I was actually telling people that I don't want to belittle any of the the fatalities about it.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I was thinking about, what about all those small and SMEs, like being an entrepreneur myself and owning small medium businesses. What about all the SMEs around, not just here but around the globe, where you had the little cafes and the little pharmacy owners and
that are impacted.
They're literally losing their livelihood over this thing, and it is technically, you know, obviously mainly the anxiety that's much bigger than what it is. So I can't imagine what they're going through. So I think it's kind of this like human wide, you know, global a freak out that everyone's happening that's even affecting us in our own homes. And I don't know, I just have I wish someone could just, you know, come and give us that, you know, that like that relief of no, it's fine.
That's exactly it.
But no one's giving you that chance.
Like for me, it's literally, I want someone, I'm like thinking, okay, by the summer, by the time it gets hot, because people, that's what they were saying at first, is by the time it gets hot, it will die down, and I don't know what. And I'm just like, okay, it's getting hot.
Yeah.
It's getting hot. Does that mean it's gonna die down? And I'm just like, okay, I just want someone to come up and say, hey, oh, by the way, we found a cure. But then the other day you were saying, oh, but even if they do find a cure,
yeah, it'll take like a year to get into market.
And
But
I'm
I
just
think
like,
you're definitely not alone in feeling that anxiety. I think I've seen a lot of like people express the same thing, and also at the same time, I think it's very much up to us to limit the amount of bad news that we consume. There is this phenomenon called I can't remember the name, but it's something where you get like bad news overdose kind of.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely, we have to take some responsibility in limiting how much bad news we consume and try and, you know, just when we switch off, really switch off.
No, actually, by the way, the a lot of the ministries of health, specifically in this region, have literally said, if you feel overwhelmed, switch off from social media.
yeah.
Literally.
But that's the thing, exactly. Is like I did that. Okay, so before this whole coronavirus started, you remember, I stopped social media. And
social media detox.
I literally deleted all my social media. It was great. I loved it. And then I brought it back and I felt good because even now, till now, I don't open it that much.
Yeah.
But the moment it actually started rising and like the moment it actually became a big thing is when I started going back on Twitter and back on Instagram, and then I would see all of this, and literally every follower, every person I follow, for example, on Instagram,
is talking about it.
So, salons, clinics, everything. And I'm just like, enough. Like,
and being obviously, so because I'm in the digital marketing world, I also, so when I co-own the businesses here in Dubai, the co-owning part that I run are the marketing aspects. You should see the amount of messages that I get on a daily basis about, you know, are you guys using the proper hygienes? Are you guys sanitizing? Are you guys, you know, are you guys washing your dishes? Are you, you know, in the gyms, are you washing the bars? Are you washing your equipment, your mats? And I think there's that moment where you try to, you get this like third person, like outer body experience where you think to yourself, you're like, what is this world we're currently living in? Because I don't think there's ever been a time where something has taken over everyone's time. And it's just like everyone you meet is at an anxiety high right now. Everyone is just worried and, you know, going
but
around.
Just to play devil's advocate to that point, I think there's a lot of distrust with people, and they want to know that the places that they're going to are taking this seriously.
By all means, and we are. It's
But
just that
that's the thing.
I don't.
it's just
mean
that people would have never mentioned it before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But again, going back to social media, I think now we're in an age, like if you think about it, whenever you have an issue with a company or a product or something, where's
You
the
go
first
social
place
media.
that you
Social
go to
media,
complain?
yeah.
Is
Yeah.
social media. You don't call their customer care representatives anymore. And that's partly companies' fault, because, you know, we usually don't get a lot of help when we take the traditional route, and so people have found that the only way that they're going to get their problems resolved is when they
and their
put
voice is
companies on
heard.
blast on social media, which is not ideal. So I think that's kind of the time that we're living in, and we have to, I think, again, take a step back, talk to ourselves and say, okay, I need to look at the media I'm consuming and really get my information from the right sources, so that I'm not believing everything that I'm reading and panicking about every news article that someone sends me on WhatsApp.
I'm in a WhatsApp group, one of the WhatsApp groups I'm in, that literally said, there was one of our friends in it, and she said, I don't want to read any more negative news.
Yeah.
Because this will obviously, the anxiety will make her sick by
Yeah.
reading it, and like the worry, because obviously she's a mom.
Yeah.
And so she has these concerns. And so we only post positive things.
Positive.
So
That's so nice.
So by the way,
Yeah.
so every time, and I'm.
Can you add me to that
I swear,
group?
I should. And I have to confess, I am a WhatsApper, so I do spread, whether it's positive or negative, I'm spreading everything. But obviously
Every 2 seconds,
but
guys.
from credible
Every 2
sources,
seconds.
I have to admit, I'm not going around creating my own news. But but yeah, for that group, every time I
Yeah.
want to forward everything,
You're like, oh.
I look at that group and I'm like, oh no, I'm not supposed to do that. But to be honest, it's not that group is not aware of what's going on,
Yeah.
but it's refreshing now to open that group, because I know that we're just talking about our
That's-
normal daily
yeah.
lives.
Yeah, because for every person that's in that group, they're
Yeah.
in at least 5 other groups that are talking
Yes.
about the issues that they don't want to hear
exactly.
about.
Like I have a family group, and then I have my in-laws, which is your family group, and then I have my friends, and then I have the moms group, and it's like every group, even like my family's group, they're all elderly, so they're not us like young individuals. No, they're like
Okay,
people.
why are you age shaming your
I'm
family?
not age shaming my family, but they're all like
don't call her out. Well, thank you, madam. I appreciate that compliment. I am the young age of 31.
But yeah, and like you would think, okay, they're not that involved, or they're not that curious, because usually, at least that's what I thought, is like
Right.
the
We
older-
worry there, like,
They're just like, oh, whatever. This is
We've been
seen
through
worse.
worse.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm like, oh yeah, whatever. And no, I open the group, and I see, oh yeah, this update and this update, and I'm just like, ugh. And so that's why I think to be honest, I do think I'm gonna
detox
switch-
again.
Yeah,
I think
very-
it's needed, because honestly, just by the wave of how it's going, even
Yeah.
if you're not an expert, you can see how it's going from one continent to the other.
Yeah.
It's not gonna, the news isn't gonna stop anytime
No.
soon, and the market's gonna continue being so volatile.
Yeah.
So I think I would, if my career didn't depend on digital marketing,
You
I would
would.
love to do it. So
Yeah.
I've done detoxes before, but that was more for personal reasons, and you
Yeah.
guys know. But other than that, I think that's a very good idea, specifically knowing you and
Yeah.
your
Yeah, and I think for anyone listening, if you can switch off for a few hours, I
Yeah.
think definitely do it.
No, I
if it
did
doesn't
it.
contribute to your livelihood, then
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, because when Shehlaa, you did the social media detox, I saw a huge difference in you.
Yeah,
I
no.
could see that you were much calmer and much
Yeah.
more relaxed. And I had told you, look, I'm still obviously on social media, so
Yeah.
if there's anything that you need to know, I
Yeah.
will tell you.
That's the thing, is that it really did help. And so now I'm thinking, okay, you know what? I think I'm going to do it again. And I'm just going to switch off for a bit. Because I think it's needed.
And I think, so something that's been on my mind is there's really, I feel, with some people, there's a lack of empathy when it comes to not just, let's move away from the coronavirus. When you think about people's fears and anxieties and stuff, a lot of people are like, oh, why are you worried about this? Or just get over it. Or just,
Yeah.
this is going to go away. This is not a big deal. Or, how they compare it to the normal flu,
Yeah.
for example.
Yeah.
So
That's something, by the way, I can't stand. Not just about this, but something that I can't stand. And I've said this before.
when
which
people
is
draw comparisons,
or tell you, why are you complaining? There's someone much worse. Which
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
fully aware that there
Of
are people
course,
out there that
yeah.
have worse problems than I do, but I don't like people diminishing other people's problems.
Yeah.
Obviously,
Yeah.
if I don't like it on my own, I would never do it to someone. So the fact that people are out there and diminishing something,
Yeah.
yeah, because I mean, if I have an issue, it might seem small to someone else,
Yeah.
but to me, it's still an issue. It doesn't make it, how you feel about it doesn't make it any less significant to me.
Yeah.
yeah.
And so I think we need to all be conscious of that. And we need to think, if someone, for example, is afraid of going to work because of the coronavirus. We shouldn't say, oh, they're just using this as an excuse, or they're lazy or whatever. You don't know what that person has in their life. You don't know what underlying conditions they might have, or if they have someone at home. Like for me, I have my dad is older, and he's at home, and I have a 9-month-old. So obviously there's a concern in that sense.
Yeah.
So I think we don't we need to really, before we say something, just reflect and think, is what I'm about to say to this person, is that going to help the situation in any way? Is it going to make their anxiety less, or am I better off just supporting them and listening and being there for them as a friend or a colleague or a loved one?
Yeah.
I think it's just kind of being that empath and putting yourself in someone else's shoes, if that makes sense, or basically don't judge someone because you haven't walked in their shoes. You don't know what their concerns are. And again, going a bit back to what I was saying, when I, for example, when we were kids, let's go back to that.
Right.
When we were kids and we were having finals, it seemed like the biggest problem in the world.
Yeah.
And then I used to get so frustrated when someone told me, oh, it's just an exam. To me at that time, it wasn't just an exam. It was a pass or fail. And it was, it was and getting a certain grade guaranteed me going to the university that I always wanted.
Yeah, and expectations from parents and family members, and you're comparing yourself to your friends. It's not just,
exactly.
Yeah.
And I was told that, no, you're, teenagers don't even have the luxury of picking the universities. I'm like, yes, I know, but at the same time, I have a goal, I have an expectation for myself, and people have that expectations of me. Please try to, I think, just the need to be understood and to be heard before being judged or being, getting a misconception about taking that. So I think on the other side of that is putting yourself first. I think when you find yourself in a position where someone in your life is lacking empathy, and what I mean about lacking empathy is not realizing that the priorities and needs that you have are important to you, and how important they are, and that it's something that you hold dear, and they consider them as something that is secondary, or they put themselves first, but you're blind to that. Right. You don't see that. Yeah. I think putting yourself first is very important. And usually I get told when I do talk about putting yourself first to other people, is the first thing is, well, that's selfish. But I don't think so. I think that's self-love.
I don't think that's selfish at all. I think everyone has to go through moments where they have to self-love and just put their needs
first. I think so to argue the fact that it's selfish is, there's a classic example of on an airplane, put your mask on before you help others. Mm-hmm. But on the other end as well, in order to be the best version of yourself, and in order to be able to be selfless and help other people, you have to fortify yourself mentally and emotionally to be able to do that. And you have to take care of yourself so that you have the energy to help others.
Yeah.
For reference sake, being someone who is afraid of flying, if I were in that position, there would be no masks being put on anyone, because I would have probably passed out. I think if I just saw La Samhallah,
you would be the person that would need the mask.
Yeah,
just be put on.
I'd actually be pulling people's masks. I'd just be like, if I ain't getting a mask, you ain't getting a mask.
But actually, sorry, to bring up what Hassan said, I think about you have to help yourself before you can help someone else, and you have to be mentally there. I've had that also happen to me, where I've felt so drained where I couldn't be there for my family members. I couldn't be there for my daughter. And I think that's also very important. And I agree with him on that. Like, I've had moments where he would tell me, no, you're too drained, that you're no help to anyone at this point.
So I don't think I would word it
worded it like that, but like
no, but I would tell you, you need to
like
take a break.
He's told me before where he's like, you need to sleep, and then he's like, I'm happy that you slept.
But so let's backtrack that. Why did that happen? You've said that you're drained, but I want to know, why were you drained? What were you doing?
Everyday life. But like, no, mainly it's especially when the baby was younger.
Yeah.
I wouldn't sleep. I wouldn't eat. Eating would be literally a quick whatever I can eat while I'm changing her, while I'm entertaining her, while I'm just with her constantly feeding her. And then she would wake up very early, and she's very, you know how she is. She's a very light sleeper, and she doesn't sleep very long, her naps even, so I don't get any breaks. And I've also had, and you know this, just a lot of not trust issues, but where I want to do things myself.
Yeah.
And now I'm slowly like letting go of that and actually allowing people to help me, just because I realized, and I'm starting to see a difference when I don't let anyone help me. I see how tired I am, that I can't even be 100% for the baby.
Yeah.
So technically you were, in a way, and this by no means is something that's being used in a negative way, but you were putting your child first, but
Definitely.
in an unhealthy way.
way. That's exactly it. Is that I felt I wasn't physically healthy. I wasn't mentally healthy.
So actually, if you think about it, it's not that you weren't, I mean, yes, you were putting her first, but in a way you weren't, because you were putting the expectations of your own expectations and also societal probably expectations.
I think it's a
Exactly.
combination of everything.
Yeah,
That's the thing, exactly.
You were putting those first,
Yeah.
and it wasn't until you realized, okay, actually, I need to rest up. I need to take care of myself in order to be able to take care of my
exactly.
baby.
And you know this, Hassan, about me, is that I refuse to like you said, I would think about, oh, but then what are people, if someone comes into the house and sees the baby not with me,
Yeah.
they're
What are
going
they
to
gonna
think,
think?
oh, she's a selfish mother. Oh, she's not taking care of her child. Oh, she's lazy. And so I would the entire time be like, no, I have to do every single thing. I have to actually do her food and cook it. And then I have to change
And
it.
if you think about it, like if you look at, especially in Arab culture in the old days, people lived in communal housing in a sense.
Literally, it takes a village.
Yeah,
I think.
yeah, and you would have, you would live with your parents, your in-laws, your aunts, your cousins. So you wouldn't be this, especially in the Arab culture. This raising a baby on your own, just the couple, is quite a new phenomenon.
Yeah.
It
And
is,
of course,
actually,
I mean, there's positives to that, because you don't get the interference, the unwanted interference from others.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's that much more of a burden, and there's that much more pressure put on you.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's a big thing. And sorry, I know we derailed from Saleh's.
No, I think this is actually pretty on point of what I'm trying to say, because we all face kind of putting people in front. I mean, I wouldn't know how that feels, obviously, and so that's your experience, and that's exactly what I was trying to say. Because for me, what I realized was, for the longest time, and I was doing it subconsciously. I think that's the most unhealthy part. It's not that, I'm not going to come here and play the victim and say, there people never understood me and they forced their needs before mine.
Yeah.
It was actually myself doing it subconsciously. So I think that's even worse. And I wasn't even realizing it. So while I was growing up, I'm the eldest of 4 boys. So we're an all-boy household.
Yeah.
And I was just realizing that I'm the eldest, so I should take care of people.
Right.
Yeah.
My dad is an entrepreneur as well, and so he traveled a lot as I was growing up. And so obviously, when the dad is on a business trip or when he's not around, obviously the eldest son would obviously fill the place. And so I had that kind of fatherly kind of figure over my younger brothers, but also looking after my mom, making sure the family was fine. And then that's how I became quite independent and grew up quite fast. But then what that meant was basically not a lot of savings, because I would like to support others in the smallest of ways. Or it would be, I don't need to get that, personal... Making sacrifices. I don't need to go shopping for that one item. I don't need to... so if you guys notice, and everyone knows this about me, I actually freak out if anyone gets me anything. So even now, being a 31-year-old, when my dad and mom we're traveling somewhere and my dad goes, "Oh, this shirt looks amazing on you. You know what? I'll get it for you." And I would say, "No, I don't need it." And
just because I know you so
Yeah.
much, it's not so much that even growing up, it's not so much that there was that expectation or that pressure put on you to, at least not directly, to fill that role.
yeah.
I think it was a lot of your own
Pressure.
pressure
Yes.
put on yourself.
It was like
Yeah.
self-inflicted.
Yes, yeah.
So it was just exactly because alhamdulillah, like I grew up in a very positive household. I had very supporting parents, and
Very loving. They're so sweet.
yeah, they were very
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
nurturing. And I think it was just myself feeling like I had to live up to
Yeah.
these shoes of
Yeah.
being the amazing man that my father was. So it was just kind of that self-inflicted pressure mixed with putting my needs very
Second,
very
yeah.
very second, even last
Third,
place.
last, yeah.
And the issue is it went over time.
Yeah.
So it was years.
Which
Started
and
building
is
up.
exactly your point. I
and
mean, a lot
years.
of the times, the
Yeah.
pressures that we put on ourselves, or the pressures that we face, are not necessarily coming externally. They're
Yeah.
coming from within, and we inflict that.
Yeah,
on,
that's the
on
thing. It's like
ourselves.
even with me, nobody ever told me, "Oh, you are a selfish mother," or "Oh, you
Yeah.
aren't caring for your child." It's just me thinking people are going to think that, even though nobody told me. They think, if anything, people think I'm more.
Yeah.
very
It's-
hands-on.
Yeah, very involved.
and it's that little voice in your head
Yeah.
because I think we all have that little voice. When I find you, this little voice, I will get- but there's that little voice in the back of your head that's always critic. You know what they say? You're
Yeah.
always your own worst critic.
critic.
Yeah.
So when you're looking into that mirror, there's
Yeah.
that small voice that looks at you and picks out all the flaws.
Yeah.
So I think that's the person that keeps on putting yourself last.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think the moment things changed for me when I realized I deserved better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
I
it's-
think what's ironic is that, speaking of the little voice, now we are three voices in someone else's head.
We are sorry.
oh yes. Well, we won't tell you to, but you do you. You go and do you.
If anything, we're going to motivate you.
Yeah. But you know, that's the moment that it changed when I realized I deserved better. So what
Yeah.
happened was I had this like guilty moment because I was like, you know what? I want to go to London on my own. I'm gonna save up and I'm gonna take a trip.
Yeah, when you did that.
Bottom
trip.
line is, I never went on that trip, but I thought of
Didn't you
it.
do it?
So I was no,
Where did
No,
you go
it-
alone?
I didn't go anywhere.
It never ended
I
up
never
happening.
ended up
Why did I
happening.
feel- okay,
I ended
maybe-
up going to see my parents because they asked me to. Sure, this is not this may have been. It
wasn't exactly
it wasn't
the
exactly the
vacation you-
vacation that
yeah.
I was imagining.
There you go.
But I wanted to do it.
Yeah.
However, starting to think about that thing where I wanted to put my needs first, I
Yeah.
would think of it, and then I would have this like moment where like, was that me being naughty? Like, am I not supposed to do that? And I
Yeah.
felt
Yeah.
actually a bit bad
You
putting it.
feel weird, don't you? Like
Yeah.
I've done that before where I've said, okay, I'm gonna go out on my own, especially after having the baby. Oh my
Yeah.
god,
Or I
once-
remember even when you were starting to like, okay, I'm gonna go back to the gym,
Oh my god,
and you were
that
freaking
whole
out about
thing
how
was,
you're gonna
Yeah,
take
yeah.
what 2 classes a week,
Yeah.
like two classes a week, and she was
Each
freaking
class
out.
is 1 hour, and I would literally calculate. Okay, it takes me 15 minutes to go there, 15 minutes back, and then I would calculate. Okay, that means it's going to be an hour and a half of me just going and coming back, leaving her.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
like sometimes I even got to the point where I was calculating walking out the door and then
And
getting into
how
the
much
car.
time that would take.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
And in my head now, looking back, I'm like, I was crazy.
Yeah.
But that's exactly how it happens, and so
Yeah.
you do have to learn to let go.
For anyone who relates at any way, whether it's in your job or it's in your personal lives or anything like that, I think it's important to just kind of self-reflect exactly
Yeah.
on what your needs are and what your
Yeah.
wants are, and then do a pulse check, like check around and see what are the obstacles. Most of the time, and 99% of the time, it's going to be yourself,
Yeah.
or you have kind of created this figment of imagination, like that it's someone stopping you, when essentially it's just yourself as the barrier. But trust me, once you have that moment where you just click in your mind that you
Yeah.
deserve better, things are going to start opening up, and you will
fall
find
into place.
fulfillment, because
Yeah.
how long are you going to put yourself in second place? Because exactly what Shehlaa said earlier, if you're not putting yourself first and not taking care of yourself, how are you going to take care and love others?
Yeah.
What I think another thing that I realized was I don't want to resent anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't want to resent myself. I don't want to get, older and then
Yeah.
ask myself, what if
Why?
I did things differently?
Yeah.
So the switch
Yeah.
came on and I'm
And
trying my
it does
best.
build up. That's the thing. It does build up. People think that, oh no, it's not going to build up, and it's just of the now.
Like, I'm fine,
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but no, it does end up building up, and then all of a sudden you explode.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And I think bringing this back to the podcast and why we started it is talking to someone really helps. I cannot begin to count the number of times where I felt like I was at a dead end with an issue, or like I couldn't get through something.
Yeah.
And just talking to you guys mostly, but just talking to someone really helps you gain a different perspective.
Yeah.
Even if they don't necessarily provide you with a solution, just voicing that helps
it helps so much.
you
Yeah.
in so many ways.
And also, these guys have been my support system. So no matter how hard it got, no matter how they couldn't necessarily fit into the shoes of the issue, or they didn't know what it was like to be in a particular issue, they always managed to say the right things. And I'm a Taurus. I'm very, very stubborn. And so I just ask them, they will attest to this, but eventually I get around to things. But again, if it wasn't just for the idea of just talking about it, and venting about it and screaming about it, did I actually eventually come to terms with things.
And with that, I think we should wrap this up. Thank you everyone for listening. And in the future, I think one of our goals with this podcast is to eventually have guests on and talk about topics that you want to hear about. So on that note, if you want to reach out to us, there's a few different options. You can reach out to us by email. Our email is letsallscream.podcast@gmail.com. That's letsallscream, one word, .podcast@gmail.com.
Or you can find us on Instagram. We have an account called @letsallscream, one word, no punctuations whatsoever. So you guys can hit us up via direct message, mention, comments, and hopefully we can kind of create that engagement whereby our guys get first-hand dibs on the things that we get to scream about.
Yeah. And I think
also on the fact that we wanted to invite the guests
Well,
over.
yeah, exactly.
You guys can mention who you guys want us to maybe collaborate, and maybe even collaborate with other podcasters.
Yeah, that's why I love this whole idea is that we're not only hearing our voices, we're hearing everyone else's voices. And we can do, like you said, we can do lives on Instagram, we can do questions, and people can ask us different subjects that they want to hear about, and we get to really hear everyone else's opinions.
Yeah, and so I think we're just really excited to see what you guys have to think. We'll try to be consistent.
Yeah, I think the goal is to have a podcast every week.
Yes.
So wish us luck.
Yes, and watch out for that. Feedback is good. So if you guys can tell us what you think and your honest
Share it
opinion.
with someone who you think might be interested in these topics.
And someone that could benefit from it, or you think that it
Even
could
if you think that they don't listen to podcasts, you never know who would get into it.
Yeah. Or if they
Or,
can even brighten their day, I hope.
Yeah.
Like it has definitely brightened mine. But I had a lot of fun doing this first session, and here's to more to come. And here's to hearing you guys all scream about the things that you want to get off your chests.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.